All right, so welcome to the Sick of Being Sick Talk. If you know me, when I get ready for a subject matter and I start talking or learning about it before the talk, there's only that subject matter in my life. There's not a lot more, so I'm nerded up to about right here with information. So I will probably end up buying you dinner tonight and breakfast tomorrow because I'm just going to go all the way through. We got a lot of good stuff. But no, seriously, this subject matter has actually changed literally my viewpoint on a lot of things. And I've done talks for 20 years now, but I can tell you, I've learned some really amazing things. I can tell you, I was so excited for everyone to be here. We'll probably have 1,000 to 2,000 people just in the first couple weeks after this gets released on YouTube go through this material because it is life-changing stuff. And here's the thing. Raise your hand if you'd like to have a, wait a second, let me finish it. Raise your hand if you'd like to have a good workshop, or raise your hand, raise both hands if you'd like to have a good life change. Yeah, so that's what you came for. Now, some of you guys came, you've got joint issues. Some of you guys came, you've got blood sugar issues. Some of you guys came, you have blood pressure issues. Some of you guys came, and there's either depression, anxiety, or ADHD, or something like this. There's some neurological stuff, psychological stuff. Some of you guys came because there's a cancer issue. Some of you guys came because there's fibromyalgia, or chronic fatigue, or a digestive situation. I can tell you every single thing that I'm going to talk about tonight is applicable to each and every one of those things. And it is that big. And we're talking about the microbiome. Everybody say microbiome. Microbiome. When I was in high school, when I was in college, when I was in my postgraduate degree, when I was in postgraduate degree, come on up here, baby. I never learned about this. It's very possible that you've never heard this term either. It was not until the late 1990s that National Institutes of Health actually did a project called the Human Microbiome Project, where they wanted to go in and they wanted to tag, label, and identify every single different bacteria that's in the human body. Then they started figuring out, I don't know everything about the study, I'll admit, but it seems to me that they started identifying the fact that sick people have a different look and a different feel and a different count than, quote, functionally healthy people. Does that make sense? And as they looked at that, they saw, well, hey, isn't that interesting? And isn't this interesting? And they saw how it was related to so many different issues and so many different types of conditions that were related to it. Then they started realizing that it is completely interrelated. But what they found was there wasn't like 10 or 15 different species. There's over 1,000 different species of bacteria. And so that's a lot, yes? That's a lot. So some of you guys thought I was going to talk about probiotics tonight. And I'm going to talk about some probiotics being like, quote, good bacteria. But the problem with it is most people that take probiotics, how many different strains of bacteria are in most probiotics? Well, the 30 to 50,000 is the actual count of organisms. But the different strains, it is 3 to 5, maybe 10. There's one I think I've seen that has 10 different ones. And listen to me, you have 1,000 different ones. And so the problem with it is, if you've had digestive issues, if you've taken an antibiotic, and you think you're going to get back on top of things again because you took a probiotic, can you see how you might be shortchanged? Yes, but you start looking at this, the microbiome, they started finding it's everywhere. It's literally, there's a microbiome everywhere. Skin, we actually found, I say we loosely, they did, lymph vessels in the brain. And being a certified functional neurologist, we were never taught there was lymph vessels in the brain. And guess what? It all ties together here. It is so amazingly important. Here's something crazy. As crazy as they found things be related, cancers, diabetes, fibromyalgia, MS, dystrophies, chronic fatigue syndrome, all these different things, they started saying, hey, listen, I feel like we can, if we can treat things by changing someone's bio. Again, our whole philosophy in our office is inside-out health. Does that make sense? Instead of trying to take a chemical or slather something on you, but it's actually working the way the body works instead of against it. So what they did, they went from an outside-in approach, and they said, well, if this person has this bacteria that's good, and this one needs this bacteria that's good and only has bad, let's do this. Let's take the bacteria from the good person and put it in the unhealthy person. And so guess what they started doing? Fecal transplants. What does that mean? So, and you think I'm making this up, look it up online. This is Wikipedia, fecal microbiota transplant. What does that mean? They're taking poop from a healthy person, putting it in an unhealthy person. And what they found was things like CDI, so C. difficile infection, actually 96.4% cure rate with that. And it's like over $400,000 for the antibiotics to treat that for the rest of your life, and it's several $1,000s. What's the number one cause of C. difficile infection? Repeated use of what? Antibiotics. So you kill your microbiome, and then you're going to pay somebody thousands or tens of thousands of dollars to put a microbiome back in you from somebody that has it who hasn't taken all those antibiotics. We're creating problems to have more problems in the future, to be treated with more stuff. Does that make sense? And listen, it is not that complicated, I promise. But it's to keep you out of this bed right here. Time Magazine did something that says how not to end up here. It's all about prevention, except for most people think prevention is what? Taking your blood pressure meds, getting a flu shot, and occasionally going to see your doctor once a year, who will only find out that you're sick when you're really, really what? Past sick and you're into close to death, yes. And we're going to talk about that some today. But I love Time said the battle's inside the body, and it's talking about your immune system. Raise your hand if this time of year, and some of you guys will watch this on the net in the spring and in the summertime, but raise your hand if you'd like to have an amazingly, better than you've ever had before, immune system all the way through this fall. That's why you're here. You're going to get action steps. When you leave tonight, some of you guys are going to get some action steps for products. There's an action step I want you to take for products that's only 14 days long. It's not 30 days long like a lot of stuff we do. Everybody say amen. Amen. So it's only 14 days, and you can re-inoculate and help the layer of your gut get healthy again. We're going to go through it. But I want to stop on this for a second. What it's led to is this outside-in approach is people are very sick. Raise your hand in the last 5 years if you've taken an antibiotic. So most people in the room within the last 5 have taken a year. And listen, if I wasn't doing the things I'm doing now, I probably would have too. I've taken more antibiotics than anybody in this room. I was on antibiotics for over 6 years straight, every single day of my life for acne, which is why when I was in Chicago just recently, when I couldn't get the food I needed, I ran out. We had 2 planes canceled and all the rest. I had some food I shouldn't have been eating because it was either that or nothing. And so I said, well, I eat really good all the time. I'll just have a little bit of something. And my faces broke out. My right knee is sore. And it's like, how did that happen? And it's just the microbiome. And the reason that I am so sensitive is because 6 years of antibiotics has scarred this microbiome that I have, and I have sensitivities that you possibly don't have. Does that make sense? And your sensitivity may come out as joint pain. Mine might come out as acne. Your may come out as fatigue. Another one may come out as a horrible hormone issue. Another one might come out as headaches. Another one might come out as something else. You see that? It's your fingerprint because you have also a fingerprint of a microbiome. Does it make sense? So if I was an immune system doctor and I was going to take your immune system out, where would I take it out of? It's everywhere, isn't it? I mean, I'm talking about like gut things, but just look. It's in the brain, it's in the lungs, it's in the vasculature, it's in the adipose tissue, it's in the liver, it's in the skin, it's in your gut, it's in all the organs of digestion. Your immune system cannot be taken out because your immune system is where? Everywhere. It's everywhere. That part is complicated, but it's because it's all interrelated. Is everybody with me on that? Now, one of the most important organs, the central nervous system, which organizes everything, and the digestive system, and your microbiome. Those are the organs, the systems here. Now just imagine just 3.5 pounds of bacteria in the middle. That would be the 3 most important things. Now here's something to get. This is the nerd me. I went nuts when I read this. Everybody say 70 to 80. 70 to 80% of your immune system function is actually created, regulated, and made great by the bacterial microbiome in your gut and in your body. So now listen, I didn't say that your nervous system wasn't controlling it. I didn't say that your organs and your organs functioning great didn't create the ability. But if you don't have a good microbiome, then you should expect a 70 to 80% decrease in your immune system. Can you see why, as a doctor, it was really important for me for all of you guys to be here, right? I always joke about the fact that, I'm very rarely sick, and I literally, as gross as it sounds, I could lick every hand that I adjust 200 people in a day, and I just wouldn't get sick. And it's because my microbiome, if you send bugs or bacteria or viruses my way, it kills it on the spot. Why? It's because this is really, really good. I keep this very, very well. And for you guys that are off track a little bit, I'm going to show you what we do, So I would never do something that I would tell you to do something I'm not already doing. And so there's a couple things that need to happen. We need to get the things that you're doing daily that are wrecking your microbiome out, give you things to do daily that are going to make your microbiome great, and then show you how to maintain it for the long run. How's that sound? So good? So let's do that. Let's start with this. What are probiotics? Just microorganisms like bacteria, yeast, as we call the good ones. For instance, your body has 10 trillion cells, about that, somewhere close. Guess how many actual individual organisms of bacteria you have in your body? You have 10 trillion cells, but you have 100 to 400 trillion separate individual bacterial. Did you get that? You have more bacteria in your body than you have cells. This is why actually all the research is calling the microbiome the newest found human organ, which is interesting because you'll kill it purposely with a medication sometimes. Immunity and your gut. Now, if you'll look close to this, especially if you're online, you've got these 4 squares, A, B, C, and D. This is a normal healthy. This is IBS or inflammatory bowel. This is ulcerative colitis. This is Crohn's. What you'll see in this, you'll see it's kind of looking wet, that wet appearance. It's almost like there's a clear, wet, almost like a slime layer on there. It's not red like this. This is patches of red. This is patches of red, but it's actually ulcerated. It's got like holes and divots in it, and this is way past that, and there's all kind of that in there. Make sense? Now, what I want to make sure that you get is this. The reason that it's such a medical fallacy to think that you could go get a colonoscopy and look at your colon health is because of one. Now, I'm not against colonoscopies. Like if you were bleeding rectally, or there's something really going on, then definitely go get one. But the reason I say this is because doing a colonoscopy and looking to see what's in there and judging this to be healthy is like doing dental work between here and the back of the room 30 feet away. And it's like I'm looking at a tooth that's this big, and from here, by the time I can tell that tooth is different or brown, or it's got a big spot on it, from here to there, that tooth has to be what? Rotten. What you can't tell by looking at this is the microbiome, the bacterial counts. Can anybody tell me what that looks? You can't tell that. All you see is a slick, wet look on it, right? Which, by the way, that slick, wet look is bacteria. That you cannot tell by a colonoscopy, and I want to make sure you guys knew that. So it is a fallacy. By the time that a colonoscopy can find something, what is it? You are years of this thing being broken down, which is why it's so important to get this taken care of now. Now take a quick look here. But look, this is the microvilli. This is the lining of your gut at a microscopic level. I want you to look at the gray, bluish, like slime layer on top. You see that? This is part of that microbiome, but this also has to do with the mucosal lining. Everybody say mucus. I like talking about poop. I like talking about mucus. This is what we do here. But if you'll notice, you'll see one area where this mucus is not thick. You'll also see where these little white things are now getting in between the cells, coming into the interstitial here, the inner lining, and they're actually coming down, affecting immune cells, which are creating an immune response. And this is literally the definition of leaky gut. Okay? Some of you guys have damaged this mucosal lining, caused inflammation, separated the cells out, and created a leaky gut situation. And I'm going to tell you how you can tell tonight. Some of you guys go, I don't have leaky gut. I don't have IBS. Guess what? Yes, you do. Some of you guys actually will come here tonight to find out that you had that, and I'm going to show you how to heal it. Sound good? Now, moving on. What's the problem? Bad gut equals weak immune system. The reason that we're talking about this, and we're talking about sick of being sick, is because you fix this, you fix your immune system. Poor nutritional status, vitamin deficiencies, high carb, low fat diets, small intestinal bacteria overgrowth. All that means is all the bacteria that's supposed to be in your colon has now overgrown it and gone up where? Into the small intestine. And that causes a lot of gas, causes a lot of bloating. Who here, either now or in the past, you or somebody you know, has every time that you eat or eaten certain things, you go like this? Anybody? Yeah. And that's a lot of that has to do with small intestine bacterial overgrowth. Inadequate sleep, poor oxygenation, digestive distress, unbalanced stress hormones. Anybody feel unbalanced occasionally? Spouses, don't look at your husbands or wives. Now, what is the number one way to tell or predictor of gut health? Number one, says it right there. What is it? Somebody say it. It is the intestinal mobility. It means how often you go. It is the number one predictor. This is a train station, okay? I want you to think like this. When you eat food and swallow it, you're stuffing food, a bolus, down a tube. Just imagine it. You're putting a train together. Every time you swallow, you're putting a car on a train, okay? You're putting it together, you're putting it on the tracks, and you're sitting it down. Now, I send a big train in, and it's all going to the station, it's all going through, but I'm not having trains come out of the station. You with me? What does it look like? A train wreck. But now, I mean, honestly, think about this in a term. What does backed up trains look like? And first of all, due to the colon or the digestive system, and what does that look like on a colonoscopy? You think it may look like a polyp? You know, a swollen area. Is with me, right? But now you keep doing that, you're going to get a train station where the cars are all piling up. This is where you get a toxic bowel. You start having all kind of immune issues, and you don't know it because you're still going every other day or whatever else, and that's just you, and you don't realize why you're getting constant issues and why now your joints hurt or whatever else, or allergies, and it's fine because you just take a Zyrtec and you're fine. No, it's not, right? But this is the number one predictor. This is what it should be. You should create the train, send the train in, and then what? Trains you to come out. So it should look about like that. Right there. My wife goes, did you have to like make it coming out of a hole? Like yes. You have to have a visual picture. And notice it's a speed train too. Very, just like this. Just make you let your mind run on that. But regularity is the key here. Does it make sense? So again, leaky gut is just the first step. Now, leaky gut creates inflammation. Everybody say inflammation. Inflammation at a gut level, okay, destroys the microbiome, creates a situation where undigested proteins come in, and we start having an immune reaction to it. This is where most people will start to get allergies. And you or your kids will go outside, and they'll go, well, the ragweed's really bad, or whatever else, and I just had to give them a Zyrtec. I'm like, no. Get away from sugar and grains and foods that are immune downers. We're going to go through that tonight too. And guess what will happen to your immunity? It will get better, and your inflammatory emergency immune responses will lessen, which is how allergies go away. That's what we're going to do tonight. So this is what happens. So again, inflammation. What happens here though is as you actually start having reactions to the food, you start having intolerances to it. Some of you guys may have, quote, food allergies, or every time that you eat this, you get a headache. Anybody get one of those? Specifically, some of the foods that you eat, if you eat them, you get really, really tired. Some of you guys, it's just that. Then you start having immune system issues. This is also the allergies, or it decreases, what have you. And then autoimmunity. Now, I put this sometimes is a long cascade to get this. What most of you guys don't understand is if you or your kids have allergies and you're not taking care of this, the reason it's so important to me is because if you leave this here, eventually you will set off, or a lot of people will, to where your body starts fighting itself. The biggest epidemic right now the U.S. government started looking into is autoimmunity. They'll say 1 in 2 people in just a short amount of years will have an autoimmune disorder. RA, multiple sclerosis, certain types of cancers, and you will have an autoimmune disorder. It is crazy. The reason is because nobody ever fixes the problem. They just take their allergy meds and think that they're fine, right? How do we fix it? Let's get into that. There's a test. It's called metabolics. Say metabolics. Metabolics. Raise your hand if you've done metabolics. Good. There's like half the room. There is a part of the test for metabolics. Now, you guys know that I did metabolics. Saved my life. It absolutely transformed my life. And the only reason that anybody in this room has done it is because we did it, and it was like $1,500 per test, and we both did a test. And there's no way I could bring that to you guys unless you're like dying of cancer or something. And so to bring it to all 630,000 people a week that are getting adjusted through Maximize Living, I was like, no. But we have a big network, so watch this. Let's use our power of our network to get the labs that are all throughout the country to decrease their price. So now instead of paying $1,500 for those tests, I think the average cost is, what, $399 or something like this. But this is a test for Indican. Now, some of you guys might have looked at this if you had yours. Everybody say Indican. Indican is basically part of the metabolics testing, and it looks for when you're having proteins that are not digested completely and they're actually passing through the microvilli barrier, right? And it's actually indicative of leaky gut, okay, or increased hyperpermeability. That's what this looks for. This person, everybody look here, this person had something way, way up high. Do you see this? So just by the test, some of you guys don't even have the symptoms, but if you tested, you would find this. You can see how this person tested way high. This particular person didn't have digestive issues. They had allergy issues, they had joint pain, they had fatigue. But they have what? Leaky gut. So we started them on a regimen. Now, some of you guys are going to do this test. It's awesome because metabolics is a fingerprint exactly for you. It's not just cookie cutter and just take these, just like it says on the bottle. Some of you guys need a lot more or a lot less. Some of you guys that have a really, really bad situation need to go ahead and do the test. A lot of you guys just don't. That's fine too. But this person got exactly what they needed in 90 days. Watch this. This is the 90-day afterwards. Can you see? All the way from here to here. Do you see the difference? Guess what happened to the allergies? It's a miracle. You're the best allergy doctor I've ever had. No, I'm not an allergy doctor. Right? We just want to find the cause of things and fix the cause instead of treating the symptoms. Can I get an amen for somebody feeding the cause and not the symptoms? That's what we do. Let's go to this. Now, this is going to be if you guys are taking notes, I want you to make sure you write this down. There's an indication that's very simple that is, it's not 100%, but it's a very good indicator that if you actually do Tanita, raise your hand if you've done the Tanita in the office. Great, I spent $4,000 for 3 of you to do it. And I don't charge you, so it's really good. But this is a Tanita test for your body fat. This shows the pounds of body fat this person has. So 91.4 pounds of body mass of fat, right? But here it tells you the fat mass of just the trunk. Do you see that? 45. If you have around a 50% or higher trunk fat mass, if 50% of your fat in your body is around your trunk, it is indicative of you having leaky gut. So you guys have never looked at the Tanita like that, but that is some of the newest research. For instance, how do I get, if you know any farmers who do conventional raising of cattle, what do they give the cattle? Yeah, they give them hormones, they give them all, but 85% of all the antibiotics on planet Earth are given to livestock in the United States. I don't know if you knew that. Why do they give livestock antibiotics? Anybody know? What's that? Number one, it keeps them from dying because they're not made to eat grain, and they get so many ulcers in their stomach and things that they would actually have infections and die. But the other reason is when you give a cow antibiotics, it kills what? Their microbiome, and guess what happens to a cow? They get fat. If you give an animal antibiotics and you kill their microbiome, they get fat. And they get so fat that their muscles actually get veins of fat going through them, which we call what? Marbling. And don't we love marbling in Texas? Guess what? You don't want to be marbled, right? The reason this is a cool test is because this lady began exactly doing what I told you tonight. She did exactly this, okay? Now look, she's got 91 pounds of fat. She's at 45 pounds on her trunk, 43 overall. She went down to 35, and from 45, she went down to less than 30 pounds. Now, we've got a ways to go, right? But do you see the difference? And why? Not because I was working on getting her to lose weight. I wanted her to heal what? Her gut and that microbiome, so it healed the gaps so she doesn't have leaky gut. And now guess what? Now she's not gaining weight, just reversing the whole cow situation. Does that make sense? Some of you guys have gained some weight, especially around the midsection, and it literally is just leaky gut, and it's caused blood sugar irregularities and sleeping problems and all kind of things, okay? Good example of this. What do you see? Super heart, sweet lady, okay? She's heavier and a lot here. Kind of skinnier legs, heavy around the midsection here. Very classic, okay? Starts doing this from June to January, and now look. That's pretty spectacular, yes? Right? Again, not a weight loss clinic, just working on what? The way that her body functions. It is awesome. Thank you, Lord. Now, what does this cause? Leaky gut. Again, I say leaky gut. All I want you to hear is hyperpermeability. You think leaky gut is a diagnosis, and now you have this condition. It's just a myriad of things. It's just a symptom. But once you start having this digestive type of situation, all of these things can be affected. You see? So thyroid issues. How many people you know? Raise your hand if you know if somebody's got a thyroid issue, right? People have thyroid issues, constipation, diarrhea, irritable bowel, adrenal. Holy Lord, adrenals now. Just, I mean, literally, it's an epidemic. And it's like everybody's drinking coffee and Monsters and caffeine things and taking pills for energy and all this other stuff because this is so crazy. Joints. It is uncommon for somebody to come in their 30s or 40s and not have joints that really hurt regularly. And, you know, other than, I mean, my knee doesn't hurt now, but for like 2 days it hurt, and it didn't even keep me from working out, but I was so upset. I think I was talking to you this morning. I was like, for me to have something that would like, I could feel it and it like slows me down a little bit, it just aggravated the tar out of me. And how some of you guys could live and not just like a bird in a cage just trying to get loose from this thing, want to change anything. I want you to get that. So again, sinus and mouth, frequent colds. Some of you guys will go out and go, I got a sinus infection again. Can you adjust that C2 again? And I'll adjust your C2 again, but at the same time I'm thinking what? I'm going to adjust their C2 and they're going to go out and they're going to have ice cream tonight or they're going to have GMO foods later on today. And guess what's going to happen? That C2 is going to, quote, go out, or their sinuses are just going to keep being messed up because their microbiome's gone. There's 5 essentials and not one. Everybody with me? Right? So this is what the world does to fix it. This is, quote, a healthy plate. Tell me what's wrong with it. It's got grains out the wazoopa. And they put fat and sugar in the same deal. So actually this is a low-fat diet. And then they don't actually say anything about milk and dairy. It's all conventional raised, which actually conventionally raised destroys your microbiome. And we can talk about why. This is not good. How about this? Why? Pasta's a grain, right? Now, what's inside this pasta sauce? Say it. So it's that sugar, right? And then the meat's probably not grass-fed. So it's just chock full of bad fats and probably a lot of hormones and all kind of things you don't want. How about this one? That says for itself. What's the worst part about that? French fries. What's the second worst part about that? But that bun is not just any bun. That's the white, fluffy, squishy, spongy bun that turns to sugar in 4 seconds in your mouth and makes that burger taste wonderful. But it also cakes up, the gluten cakes up those microvilli, causes an inflammatory reaction. Now, what do they cook these in?
Bad fats.
Bad fats, hydrogenated, and it's left on in, so it's got light on it, heat on it all day long. It'll cook it, but it'll also cook you too. Got it? How long can you leave these fries out and they look just like this? I know no one's here has eaten French fries, but when you, like a long time ago, you heard about somebody eating a French fry in their car, and they were enjoying while they were driving. I know there's nobody here, nobody did this, but one fell and it went down between the seats and you couldn't get it, and like 4 years later, you brought it out and you're like, because it looks exactly the same, right? You're laughing for a reason. It doesn't go bad. How about this? I'm not going to say anything bad about that at all. Yeah. Now, what's the worst part about this one? Pancakes are the worst part. And then what's this here? Syrup. High fructose corn syrup. Destroy this. Now, what are the eggs cooked in? What kind of oil? Vegetable oil. So these might as well be French fries. Did you know that? So if you cook eggs in vegetable oil, you might as well eat French fries. What about this one? It's like we're going down into the pit of hell with food, right? Now it may taste. Now I'm from backwoods Oklahoma. This is what we had. Grandma made biscuits. I would open them up. Gravy. Is there anything live in this meal? Some of you guys weren't sure. Let me be very clear. There's nothing alive. Now, as I've gone through this, guess what? There's a lot of your friends and family. This is a lot of people at your church. And then they wonder why their joints are horrible, they're aging fast, they've got diabetes. And a lot of diabetes is from the microbiome completely falling apart, and then you can't maintain your blood sugars, and you've got these leaky gut issues and all these other things. Very simple. Now, meet your gut. It is your second brain. Everybody say second brain.
Second brain.
The reason it's a second brain is because there's such a link between gut and how much nerve supply is there, but it also, the majority of all your neurotransmitters are made there. 85% of serotonin, 50% of the other ones. Like, your neurotransmitters are made in your gut. Now think about that for a second, which also means if your gut's unhealthy and your microbiome is scarred up and messed up, you're not making neurotransmitters, and so you get diagnosed with ADHD. Can you see how ADHD is such a epidemic now with the way that food is and the way that kids are, and I mean, just crazy. How about depression? 1 in 4 women are on antidepressants right now. Can you see why? We just destroy our guts, and we wonder, how has this happened? This society is just, it's not that this society, it's just the way that your body is designed. You know, I couldn't go out in your car right now. It's a gas engine and put diesel in there, right? My truck takes diesel, but you put gas in my diesel truck, guess what happens to it? It's not going to work. Your body is designed to eat a certain way. Now, you may want, quote, diesel instead of gasoline, French fries instead of broccoli or something like this, but guess what? I can tell you this. When I'm in my 70s, 80s, and 90s, in Jesus' name, hopefully this is the way that I end up, when my joints are great and I'm not on any meds and I feel wonderful and I'm still doing CrossFit and things are doing great, I can tell you I will not regret not having the French fries. And you won't either. And your body can heal. So, again, I couldn't help but throw nerd articles in here, but this is just spectacular. You have to just take a picture of it, how what's going on in your gut could be affecting your brain. Even, actually, they're actually theorizing the fecal transplants actually to treat depression with fecal transplants. How about that? I'm like, well, maybe easier than taking an antidepressant. But I just love this. Read that. Yeah, I love it. Brain, it's just a natural relationship ready to go. Now, let me be very clear. I don't do this. I do not ferment my food. One of the guys that helped put this together, Dr. Aaron Ernst, you saw him on the videos this whole last time. He and his family ferment a lot of stuff. Where's John at? John? There's John in the back. Everybody look back at John. John has been, what, for a year now? Making sauerkraut and stuff at home? About a year. When you started, before you ever did that, did it seem like it was like a little bit crunchy, a little bit over the board? I was like, I never thought I would be doing fermenting my own food. But John, and I'm not going to tell you John's whole case, but John, can I tell him? John said, I think it saved my life. I mean, it really was something that really made a huge difference. I know I don't do this, so I always want to be transparent with you guys. I don't ferment my food. I've never done that. I've never made pickles. I've never made sauerkraut. If I ate sauerkraut, I got it out of a can probably or a bottle or something. I want you to know I am going to start doing this. And the reason is because every time I turned around, there was one more thing about fermented food. And it's not just stuff like this. Look at this. You could make all kind of fermented stuff. I mean, there's just a myriad of things that you could do. There's different things you can buy to do it. There's certain things you can have like Suero Gold, Suero V. There's companies that have like fermented whey things. But here's the problem. Most people don't eat. Okay, watch this. Raise your hand if you've eaten anything fermented in the last week. Alcohol doesn't count. Yeah, kombucha. I'm going to take that one. Fermentation. Fermentation is where you actually allow bacteria to work on the food that is like cabbage. How to make sauerkraut. You basically put it in a pot. Everything's sterilized, first of all, to the most degree, in the pot and everything else. And then you put food that's been shredded or whatever else into salt, and there's like a huge recipe, and ginger and whatever, vinegar and all the rest. And then you let it sit, what, 10 days, something like this? Longer. Depends on the stuff, yeah, just whatever. How sour, yeah, exactly. And so basically you let this stuff ferment, it creates gas, okay? That fermentation is also the reason that some of you guys I can't be around you sometimes, or there's an embarrassing moment on the adjusting table, right? Because you are fermenting and you actually have gas going through. Some of you guys will remember when I took your first set of x-rays and your x-rays were bad in your low back where it goes to your intestines, you saw this black spots and you were worried because you were thinking cancer or something. It was just gas going through your intestines. It was because your food was fermenting and you had a lot of gas, and then when we started getting your re-x-rays and your spine was better, you didn't see those black spots anymore. And the reason is because you weren't fermenting food like you had been in the past. You didn't have the gas anymore. Fermentation is just basically the breaking down of those things in a controlled environment. And what happens is, when you ferment, you create a massive ecosystem of good bacteria. Now, when you look at a cost analysis ratio of buying probiotics, raise your hand if you've bought probiotics in the last year. So half the room, over half the room. Again, if you ferment your food like John was talking about, which is why I'm going to be doing it, you get hundreds of different bacteria. You get all kind of different bacteria because there are all kind of different bacteria in there. And when you listen, depending on the food and depending on the time of year, you could actually have the same type of food, different type of time of year, and have different bacteria on there. Does that make sense? So when you're fermenting your food, you get something that you do not get. I can't sell you it. How about that? Right? I want you to ferment your food. Now, the reality is about 85% of you guys will never do that. You're just like, I'm too busy to think about cooking something up and leaving it on the counter and buying, like, putting, like Grandma did in the cans and the little jars and stuff. I'm like, I'm out. I got it. But some of you guys will. John gave me a recipe for sauerkraut. It's funny, the day you gave me that, I was eating sauerkraut because I've been reading up and it's like, hey, can we get some sauerkraut, babe? I just need some sauerkraut. And then you bring me that. So he sent it to me, and I sent it to Rebecca and Brenna, and they're going to put it on our Facebook page within, I think, today or tomorrow. So make sure you guys go on the Facebook page, pull that recipe off, and everybody can thank John for that. So John, thanks for giving us that recipe. But there's lots of places. Just look up fermented recipes and things. I'm telling you, you should look into it. Now, if we're not going to re-inoculate your gut that way, is there other ways? Sure there is, but they're not as good, okay? Right now, I want to really focus, and again, you could do anything. Carrots and beets and radishes and carrots and onions and things like this. I mean, just a plethora of stuff. And when you look at spending money, you will spend less money across the board for everything. Allergy meds and probiotics and supplementation, if you're doing that. Everybody with me? I'm just trying to be transparent here, try to save you some money. This is cheaper than that. This, that, this, that. But let's go to the next one. How do you decrease what's messing you up? We got to get rid of the downers. Anything in a box. Everybody say box. Boxes are bad. Say bad. Boxes are bad. Anything that's in a box is going to destroy your microbiome. Some of you guys haven't eaten anything other than a box since the 1980s. This is what you want to stick away from. Again, if you're doing that now, and listen, this is not the all-inclusive list. Just insert your box here. This is the other one. Now, some of you guys came into me, and the worst day in your life was when I took away steel-cut oats. You're like, but I heard they were healthy and they were heart smart. Well, no, they're not, it turns out. If it's a grain, you want to get rid of it. Got it? You want to get rid of it because it will destroy your gut. There were times when grains were good. It's very hard to get any grains right now at all that are good for your gut. In fact, actually, the biggest thing is because you get so many carbs in other places that you can't eat grains even if they are good grains. So you got to get it out. Get rid of the bread, get rid of the pastas, get rid of the oats, get rid of the crackers, get rid of those things. Are there alternatives?
Yes.
Yes. I just had pizza over the weekend made with almond crust. There's also a cauliflower crust recipe. Spectacular. It's awesome. Coconut flour is good too. There's garbanzo bean flour, all kinds of stuff. The book that you got as a patient starting in my office has a garbanzo bean flatbread / pizza crust recipe in it. Drop the mic, walk off. Awesome. Spectacular. Okay? What's another one? Processed dairy is bad. Read the bottom. What's it say? Conventional corn-fed, pasteurized, inflammatory. I didn't say dairy, all dairy was bad. I said conventionally raised dairy was bad. It is a downer. Do you know if you give your children cereal or just milk, because they say milk does the body good, we need healthy bones. If you give your kids conventional dairy, that you increase their likelihood of colds, ear infections, and upper respiratory tract infections by 85%. Do you know that? And I have parents that go, but they love cereal. I just don't want to take it away. I'm like, really? Really? So no, you just want to get rid of this. Remove the immune downers. Here again. Say it. Starts with S. Sugar or substitutes that are bad. Sugar is a poison. It's just straight up. I can't say it any other way. Sugar is a poison. It's so processed. It's so refined into something that your body is not supposed to have that it literally poisons you when you take it. Now, I know it tastes good. I know you're drawn to it. I know that the whole world is using it to make you love their products, and you don't even know it's in there, like lunch meats and things. I love this lunch meat. It's so good. Yeah, it's because it's chock full of sugar. I know you love it. So that when I take it away from you, you go to this. Because Costco has a sale on 5 pounds of strawberries, and you ate them all at one sitting. And if you don't do this, then you get into this sometimes, and this is a neurotoxin, causes brain tumors, causes holes in your brain. But you could do stevia or xylitol, which is what we did. I ate brownies every day last week. Did you get that? And they were ooey gooey, like slap your mama good. Mama, if you're watching, I didn't mean like that, but I'm like really, really good brownies, okay? And you couldn't even tell they're bad. And guess what? They're made with healthy sugar alternatives. And we do have the recipe, and it is online. But watch this. Just go to Google. Just look it up. This is sugar suppresses the immune system. There are 334,000 different cited places that you can read that it depresses your immune system. How many? 334,000. Yeah. Just look at it. Harmful effects, excess sugar, suppresses immune system, alternative, sweet poison, 9 tips for recharging your immune system, avoid sugar, an immune suppressor to boost immunity, roles of sugar in human neutrophilic phagocytosis, which means when you eat sugar, it stops your cells from eating bacteria and viruses for 3 hours straight. It doesn't do any of that. It says, I got to take a break. I'm poisoned. If you eat sugar, which guess what? And Halloween just passed. Guess what happened to all the kids' phagocytosis? It just kickstarted the whole flu season up because everybody's phagocytosis shut down. And all the parents go, I don't eat sugar. And they're like, but man, that Reese's Pieces buttercup thing is just right there, right? Anybody didn't? I got you, right? Next, let's leave the gut behind for a little bit. And we're going to come back to it. Let's start with the brain. So there's 2, right? So there's gut, there's brain. Let's talk about nourishing the brain for a second. Say ketogenic. Ketogenic, it's a keto diet. It's basically just trying to get your blood glucose down low enough, long enough that your body starts using ketones for energy rather than sugar. Make sense? It's also very good for cancer patients. It's very good for people with seizures. That's where it actually really came from. Let's talk about what it means. It basically means sometimes you eat, sometimes you don't. The longer you go without eating, the more good it is. The stuff on the left is the good. The stuff on the right is the bad stuff that gets better, like your cholesterol, risk of cancer, inflammation markers, oxidative stress, hunger pains, capacity to resist stress, human growth hormone, leanness, stable energy levels, appetite control. These are all the good things that happen when you actually start doing this. The easiest way to do this is to eat the advanced plan and just do intermittent fasting. I've taught it basically every time I've taught any diet for the last 2 or 3 years because it's what I do. It's the easiest way to do it. Let me take it for an example. Let's take 19 pairs of pants and 14 shirts and put them in the washer. Okay? How clean is it going to get? Not very. It's not made to take that much. Most of us eat too much, and then we just eat constantly throughout the day. So our digestive systems constantly work. We're constantly throwing fuel in there. We're constantly making it work. We're constantly doing it. And we end up having a bad system because of it. But what about that? What if I put a little bit of clothes in there? Now, how well is that going to get clean? The system works better when you put it in an appropriate amount. Yes? Now, listen, I could lead the show on Overeaters Anonymous. I live in Texas. It's just what we do. But it's not what we should do, right? Who knows how much protein you should get at a sitting? About the size of what? The deck of cards, smaller than the fist, about the size of that, exactly, but about the size of a deck of cards. Who in their, again, I know my wife does this, but I live in Texas. I'm like a T-Rex. If I go order a steak, what do they bring out? It's Texas. In fact, one place called the Big Texan, 72-ounce steak. It's a big piece of meat. Half it. Because there's what's called gluconeogenesis. If you eat too much protein, you will turn into sugar, and then you might as well just eat sugar. Got it? But it's because the system needs time. So let's look at it this way. This is amazing. I've been looking for this for a long time. Dr. Aaron Ernst put this together. What it shows is, now this is beginners. This is time, 12 a.m. to 11 p.m. right here. The red, this is the days. This is basically just when you're going to eat. So you're just going to eat from lunch until dinner. So you're going to skip breakfast, right? But what did your mom say the most important meal of the day was? Breakfast. Sorry, Mom. You were wrong. Oh, that's terrible, isn't it? Sorry. But the point is, The latest research shows when you actually put your body into a fasting mode, it actually increases insulin sensitivity, it lets the gut heal, it helps the mucosal lining. That's a good thing, yes? Right? So we want to give our body a chance to go through fasting so that you literally will help it out. And the type of diet does matter, okay? So if we're eating high carbs still, we'll actually have crashes in your blood sugar, and it makes that fasting time very hard. Yes or no? Yeah? Now for the warrior, you can do a lot longer time fasting in between and eat shorter. Now, most of you guys, if you're going to do an intermittent fasting, will skip breakfast, you'll eat lunch. It's sometimes a little bit harder to work out in the morning if you're not going to eat afterwards because your blood sugar will go down a little bit. Best times to work out at lunch and then eat right afterwards, okay, or early lunch and then eat right afterwards, or do a shake right afterwards, okay? Because I get home late anyway, and it's so late, and I don't want to have big full belly when I get in bed because, like a sumo wrestler, it just turns into this. I want to stay lean, so guess what? I will eat 6:30 a.m. after I'm done with my 5 a.m. workout and getting ready for work. I'll eat at 6:30, and then I'll finish eating at about 2. I won't eat anything after 2. So I'm not eating dinner tonight. I'm not going to put anything. My body goes into fasting mode. I can tell you, I feel so good. My joints feel so good. I'm like laser beam vision. I mean, I just feel so much more focused. I feel more upbeat all the time. You're like, more upbeat all the time? Yes, I feel so good. But this is why I lost 22 pounds from January until about March, April, about 22 pounds, and I love it, and I'm not going back. Okay, some of you guys really need to try this. You think it's going to be so hard. Oh my, I just don't think I can live without breakfast. You could, I promise. In fact, nothing tastes as good as fit and healthy feels. I can tell you it's the most great taste you'll ever have. But this is what you want to do. So let's nourish our brains, okay? So this is the type of diet I want you to do, but what's the type of food that I want you to do? It's high fat. Can you see that? Do you see anything on there that's not fatty? It's high fat. It's good stuff. This is for your brain. Does anybody know what MCT oil is? It's one of the things that's in coconut oil, which makes it so good for you, but it also helps you go into ketosis. If you're having trouble getting into ketosis, if you're going to check your blood levels out, do some MCT oil. It'll really help raise those up. This is new. Some of you guys don't realize that we have kids stuff in Kids Omega and Kids Probiotic. This will help supplement your kids' immunity for this wintertime. If you have kids, this is what we're doing for ours. Please make sure you're doing this. Kids are exposed to all kind of craziness. Please get involved. But let's talk about supplementation. You want to talk about that? That's where everybody wants to nerd out and talk about what. Just tell me the supplement I need to take, Dr. Dave. Just give. I'm not going to ferment food. I'm just going to swallow the pill. I want you to ferment. I want you to eat right. I want you to get rid of the bad foods you shouldn't be. And I will tell you what you need to take. And there's a program I'm going to give you. So let's just start. First is what? Why is this the most important time of year to take this? Not as much sun, right? It's the biggest part, right? I just had somebody come in. Where's Abraham? In the back. So just came in. And he was telling me what his vitamin D level is. And his vitamin D level was in the toilet. He started taking our stuff, and it's shot up. In fact, it shot up more than his medical doctor was even comfortable with. And he goes, you should just stop taking vitamin D. Just stop taking it. And me, I was like, hallelujah, this thing is working. And no, don't stop taking it. Just drop it down a little bit. Let it come back down to natural, and we'll keep it up high, right? But this is the most important time. And the reason that this is the one you want to take is because guess what's in this one? Pre and probiotics. The mother of all probiotics, B. subtilis, is in there. And it's at a ratio perfect with the vitamin D3 so you absorb it. Nothing else has this like this. So this is the vitamin D you need to take. And it's at 5,000 IUs per pill, which makes it a lot easier. Some of you guys were taking other stuff, it's 1,000 or 2,000. That's the first one. Second one, Max GI. This may be one of the most important things that I tell you tonight. Everybody look at me. Everybody say Max GI. Max GI. Two big things. There is essential oils and lysozyme. That's the first thing. What happens is this coats and creates this slime layer. It helps support making that mucosal layer. Everybody with me? That's extremely important. There's almost nothing you can take that does this because it has these type of things in it. It's also naturally antibacterial as far as the bad bacteria. The lysozyme, it is an enzyme that actually affects the bad bacteria. It pokes holes in their cell wall and it kills them. Most of you guys that have leaky guts and had them for a long time will have them, and as a result, you will have this overgrowth of a lot of bad bacteria. Okay? This will help. And then last but not least, This is huge. Potassium gluconate. And some of you guys will have never even heard of that. I could do the rest of the whole talking for another hour just on this. What this does is it hydrates and rebuilds the mucosal lining. So that grayish blue thick slime layer that's when you do a colonoscopy and it looks wet, that is what this thing rebuilds. Did you get it? I'm telling you, this is what, in fact, some of you guys are like, well, I don't have leaky gut, I don't have the issue. I want every single person here after this talk to start taking this product at least for one round. Why? If you have had any food that's GMO, if you've had any GMO foods, you have some parts of your lining that are leaking. Did you get it? It's that important. So everybody here, I want to make sure you do that. Next, there is that lining. This is it, right? I love this picture. I was thinking about a tattoo, but I don't do them. But this is awesome. Next is this. Now, I have been giving you guys the perfect protein for the longest time. Every time I do a talk or a makeover or something, I give like free shakes and things like this because I want to give you healthy stuff and keep your blood sugar up so you can hear me. But most times because I want to give you healthy fats and good protein, right? And so I do that. What you didn't know I was doing, actually to be honest with you, until this talk I didn't know I was doing it. They put L-cysteine in here as well. Guess what L-cysteine helps to do? It helps to detox, and in helping you detox, it actually helps the lining of your what? Gut. You thought you just got a good shake in the morning. Oh, no, you didn't. You've got L-cysteine, and it comes from a bioactive ingredients and proteins that have never seen the chemicals, the hormones. The cows haven't eaten sprayed grain or sprayed grass. It's just healthy environment. Did you get it? It's amazing. Like, I'm more excited about, actually, Zoe was making breakfast. She does such a good job. She helps us out. So she was making breakfast today, and I usually have like eggs or whatever. And I was like, can I please have a shake this morning? I just need to have a shake. I had just done this research all last night. It was awesome. But there's different kinds. If some of you guys are vegan or you just don't want the whey, there is perfect plant protein, and it is awesome. Who here has tried the perfect plant protein? I love it too. I just like the other two, but they're both good. Now, let's get into it. This is what I want you guys to do. I have one right here. This is the 14-day. Everybody say amen to 14. Amen. Amen. Doesn't have to be 30 days. It's just 2 weeks, okay? It is a 2-week program. It's the easiest detox, gut rebuilding, and all the symptoms, joints and allergies and asthmas and runny noses and whatever else. It's the easiest program you can do. And all it is it's taking, watch this, it's taking these products. Now let me discuss them. So I talked about this one, right? So the mucosal lining, vitamin D, probiotics. Also the vitamin D itself is actually healing for that as well. But why would you do heavy amounts of essential fatty acids? The omegas and omega-3, which is naturally anti-inflammatory, which helps do what to the gut lining? Gets rid of the inflammation, brings them closer together so it's not leaking in between. Most of you guys, if you look at your 3-to-6 ratio, are like 25-to-1, 30, 45-to-1, and it should be really close to 1-to-2, 1-to-3. And how do you get it back? This is what you do. Next is L-glutamine. L-glutamine is the thing that is healing that mucosal lining as well. Okay, it's another one. And then Max Greens. Now, it's not just because you're healthier eating green stuff and you don't get enough, but nobody here probably gets enough greens, so this is another reason, because it's antioxidant load and all the rest. But this has digestive enzymes in it. I did a talk one time where I took pudding. I was going to do it tonight. I didn't have time to put it together. But I took pudding, and I took Max Greens, and I took digestive enzymes like the ones that are in there, and I stirred it up, and I set it down. And then I took another one, stirred it up without digestive enzymes in it, and then I stood behind the table, and I took the one with digestive enzymes and went like this, and it poured out like water. And I took this one and turned it upside down, and it's pudding, so it just stayed in the cup. The digestive enzymes do what? They digest the food, they help break it down, and you get greens like you're supposed to have in the antioxidant level. Does that make sense? So putting all this together, and there's a way that you do it, some in the morning, some later on, You actually work with the flow of how things are working in the gut, and you actually help rebuild this. It's 14 days of getting your gut really good. If you do this program, what's going to happen to your immune system? It's going to go up. Some of you guys have been waiting for this because you've got allergies and joint pain and blood sugar stuff and all these different things. You've been waiting for this. This is it. Some of you guys, especially if some of you guys have had mobility issues for your gut mobility, so constipation, diarrhea, those things. If you've had any digestive issues, stomach problems, acid reflux, if it's any digestive stuff, this is what you want to do. Got it? Okay. Very, very simple stuff. Now, last but not least, I put this on here. This was not part of the 14-day, but the reason this is important is because there's 2 products in here. Say it. Cell detox and what? Body detox. Raise your hand if you've ever taken this. Most of the room. When do you take the body detox? At night when you go to bed. And the reason you take it then is because 85% of your detoxification happens at night, and it goes where? Into your colon. And so you dump stuff, like used motor oil out of your liver, and it goes into, seriously, it goes into your bowels, and it actually makes this black, nasty film that fills up your microvilli, and it actually creates a toxic bowel situation, and it's so toxic that your body actually wants to get rid of it, but you have what's called retoxification, so your body will actually resorb it, put it back to the liver because it's so toxic, and put it back. So most of you guys will not. The reason this is so powerful and important for your gut, which most of you guys didn't realize that we do this for your gut, is because when you take this, it pulls it out. When you take this, it binds it. It's active charcoal, psyllium husk, and several other things, and it binds 100% of it when it comes out of the bowel at night when you're sleeping. It's bound, and then in the morning when you have a movement, because you should be going in the morning, even before you drink your coffee, if you're still doing coffee, then the point is it comes out and it's bound. So you get it all out. Yes? Do you see how it's important? Man, I get so excited. This is what the whole world wants you to do, though. Do you see it? It's what you were taught in school, which is why you got free little things of milk that caused ear infections. The other thing they said, so they changed it, and then they did this, right? Except for that wasn't good. And this is actually what you should do. Some of you guys need pictures, so I put this in here. What is the biggest part of that diet? Fat. Good fat. Thank you. Can I just get a hallelujah for butter being good? I hate to be emotional, but man, butter being good is just a thank you, Jesus. I can eat almost anything with butter and salt. But listen, it's just all good oils. And here's the thing. Life is better with it. I don't know how. It's like Satan jumped in the middle and all of a sudden fat was bad and we had to do low fat. And we almost died. This is the way it should look. I want you to do this type of diet. But here's the thing. When you actually eat something tomorrow or tonight or whenever, and I want you to start your 14 days as soon as possible. But when you start it, when you eat something, I want you to ask yourself this one question. Everybody look at me. I want you to ask yourself this question. What is this going to do for my gut? Just ask yourself the question. You know, I like to have, you know, those sodas that are made with stevia. They're called Zevias. They're a treat at our house. They become way too much of a treat at our house. I looked up, we had these like 4 6-packs, and over the weekend they were almost gone. I was like, oh, the herb kids, and we're just off the rails now, right? Because it's supposedly healthy. Well, what do you think all that acid does to your gut? You think it's good for your gut? There's no sugar in it. It's not good, right? It may be better than sugar, but it's not good. I want you to ask yourself a question. What you drink or what you eat, what's this going to do to my gut? Because if it does it to your gut, it's going to do it to your, if it's going to do it to your gut, it's going to do it to your immune system. If it's going to do it to your gut, it's going to do it to your joints. If it's going to do it to your gut, it's going to do it to everything, right? I just want you to ask you that one question. What's this going to do to my gut, right? You got to police yourself. Now, there's some gut healing recipes. This is also on Facebook. Some of you guys need to go and find us on Facebook. She may send these out, but they are on Facebook. They're gut healing recipes. There's one that's gut healing green soup. It's got chopped garlic, zucchini, spinach, coconut milk, turmeric, curry powder, Celtic sea salt, and pepper and fresh lime juice. This is awesome, by the way. Then there's cold-destroying anti-inflammatory broth. This is awesome. It's got basically bone broth, apple cider vinegar, grated ginger, turmeric, cloves of garlic, and a chopped onion. Really, really good. Some of you guys are like, can we go? Because we're going to pick it right now. This is really, really good. There's the handouts aren't on your chair. There was just not enough time. But let's give you some results. You want to see some results? It's all hit and miss until you see results. Here's a guy. This is actually Dr. Aaron's patient. This was his first post, September 18th. And the last one, it's up there somewhere. It's 28 days. In his first 4 days, he's lost 10 pounds. Now, what was he doing? He was doing the gut rebuilding program, and he was doing intermittent fasting and advanced plan. So he was getting himself into ketosis, okay, like we're talking about, and he lost 10 pounds in 4 days. Go 2 weeks, he's lost 22 pounds in 14 days. Now, some of you guys, if you lost 22 pounds in 14 days, your family would go, this is not healthy. You can't do this, right? 25 pounds in 3 weeks and 30 pounds in 28 days in a month. That's cool. Watch this. You ready? You thought that was cool? This works. Look at this guy. Now, that is a different dude. Now, that wasn't a month. I think that was probably the better part of a year, 3/4 of a year, or maybe a year. But do you see the difference? Do you know, this is not, we didn't do like some kind of crash diet where all he had was, what was that? Honey and, no, was it lemon and cayenne pepper and whatever else? And you don't eat anything else for whatever, apple cider vinegar. Like it's not a restrictive diet. I ate brownies every day last week. Hello, right? This is not a restrictive thing. You just do it right. And guess what? Because you heal your gut, you're like that cow not eating antibiotics anymore. And guess what? Things start to change. He was obese, not because he's eating Snickers every day. He's obese because his microbiome is bad and he's unhealthy, right? So, what is this? You know what that is? This is every biochemical pathway in your body that we know of yet. What I put this up here for to show you is that this is not uncomplicated. This is more complicated than you taking vitamin D today. Would you agree? I want you to know that there is only one way all of that could get done. That your body is an amazing, self-healing, self-regulating, thinking on its own feet. It's way smarter than your little pea brain is and mine. It is extremely intelligent to take care of itself. It actually makes changes on the fly that you don't ever have to know about. You didn't have to read a book or get a degree to learn how to heal a cut on your arm. It's been doing all of this since the day you were born, and everything that you do starting tonight on the stuff that I give you to do and leave today, your body knows how to heal. I want you to get that. That's encouraging, is it not? That's encouraging. Your body wants to have a microbiome healed and awesome and good to go. You just have to give it a little bit of push, sometimes just a little bit of what it needs, and off it goes. But I will say this. There are people who are on the net right now watching me, and I'm talking to you if you're not at a Maximize Living office or somebody like this, who is going to come up short. And you'll want to buy all these products. Don't waste your money if there's an issue with how your body's working. Now, if you're my patient and you've been off track a little bit, buckle your seatbelt, put your big boy pants on, because I'm going to talk to you a little bit. This happens when you've got power to you, okay? I said power's on to a patient in my office the other day. Power's on? What power? Power's on. If I take this light bulb, let's just take this light here, and I turn the light switch off. Actually, let's just use one. If I turn this light switch off here, like that light, you see that light? The people who don't see the camera can't see it. I turn that off. If I go in there and I start manipulating with the light, I start slathering things on it. I give it a prescription for light dysfunction. Guess what? It's never coming on unless I do what? Flip the switch and put power to it. Some of you guys, one of the reasons that you're unhealthy is because your nervous system is compromised. We found it when you came in. If your patient's here, we did. Yes or no? Give me one of these. Yes, if you're guests here, you may not have known this, and it's been going on, and you've tried every supplement, you've tried every diet, and to hear me go through this and some of the stuff you already knew about, you're like, well, there it is again, I already tried that, right? The difference is you didn't understand this one concept. And I'm saying it again because if you're a patient here, you need to hear it over and over and over again, just like I do, because it's just this simple. If there's a subluxation, everybody say subluxation. On a nerve, going to an area of the body, it's not just that that area is not healthy and functioning the way it should. The microbiome in that area doesn't have the substrate and the availability and the organization to maintain its health. Do you know an area of the throat that doesn't have a nerve supply becomes a better growing medium for bacteria and viruses? Tonsils, adenoids, strep throat, all this. Who here has that friends that, it's not yours, right? Your friend's kid always has strep throat, or somebody at the office always has strep throat. It's because oftentimes, now a lot of times there's a dietary thing there too, but if everything's perfect, they still have it, it's because the nerve supply creates an environment that's just a better growing medium for bacteria and the microbiome shut down. Case in point, okay? What's wrong with that x-ray? It's somebody's low back. What's wrong with it? Come on. Listen, we're going to stay here all night until we get this. No, it's not straight, it's crooked. So you guys are like, which x-ray is it? Is it side? Is it front? It's looking this way. By the way, she didn't swallow a dime or something. This is the buckle in her jeans. There's a zipper. There's the rivets in her jeans. This is a young girl who's got digestive issues, right? IBS type things, right? So just some digestive things. And she's also got some female reproductive issues. Why is it different in this office? So who was I talking to? Rick and Liz, you guys. They were like, yeah, but you're not just a chiropractor. You do something different. You're correcting the spine. Well, do you see a difference in that? That was 60 days later. Now, not just because we actually changed the microbiome, but what happened to this girl's nerve supply? Is it better? Now, was it better just because I adjusted her? Yeah, probably. But some of you guys went to chiropractors and they cracked your back or cracked your neck and you didn't get the results that you wanted. And the reason because this was never corrected like this. This is why this is different. Guys, listen, look at me. Raise your hand if you're a patient of mine. Raise right now. Now put your hand down. Don't raise your hand. I would like to ask you to raise your hand if you've done your home exercises every day in the last week. But I would be very embarrassed if all the hands didn't go up, or the lack of hands that went up. Also wouldn't want to make you embarrassed for yourself. But if you really get this, what is more expensive? A constant, continual purchasing of supplements or a great nerve supply that you created on your own? Which is cheaper? Listen, I want to sell you all the products in the world. It's good for business. But at the end of the day, guess what? I'd rather you do it on your own, and so does God, to be honest with you. So I want you to do that at home. Whose responsibility is that? That's yours. You need to take that. Another example. What's wrong with this guy's back? He has Crohn's disease. He goes to the bathroom like 15 times a day. Comes in, also has low back pain, never put two and two together. We correct it. Guess what happens to Crohn's? It's gone. He goes another 6 months, doesn't have any back pain, doesn't have any Crohn's, comes up to his time to re-up and stay under maintenance care, and he goes, you know, Doc, I love you, but it's a little bit of a drive over. It's like 45 minutes. My back feels great. You know, hey, I love you. I'm probably just going to take a little break for a little while. Yeah, I know what that means. 2 years later, guess who I see? Well, actually, he comes back, and he goes, you know, I got a little bit of digestive stuff. I don't really want to do a care plan or something with you. He goes, I just want a handful of adjustments. Do you mind doing that? I go, well, you know, I love you. I said, but I haven't seen you in 2 years. Your back is different, I guarantee it, than last time. I said, let me just take some x-rays first. What do you see? Yeah. Now watch. I want to take care of you how long? The rest of your life. And even though I love you, I would just like to not have to see you as often, only because it costs you money. And if every time you see me, it's like, there's the guy that costs me a lot of money, I'm not like the first on your Christmas card list. The less I get to see you, the more that you appreciate what I've done for you. Except for I can't be at everybody's house and do all of your exercises for you. So guess what I want you to do? correct your spine. I want you to buy the 14-day, every single person here should start that tonight, actually tomorrow. But please don't get that and not do your stuff. I get so nerded out and I just love what you can do with great supplements and things like this, but it is not a replacement for your body functioning the way that God created it. Are you with me? Okay, I'll get crazy on both sides of it. Now, if you're a guest here, okay, this is the warning sign. Some of you guys came in because you had one of these. You don't have to have one, but this is why if you have one of these, every single person needs to get their spine checked. Just everybody look at my eyes right now. Is there somebody in your life right now that you know they either have a spinal issue, they've got a health issue, and they need to have their nervous system checked? Raise your hand. Okay. So guess what you'd have to do? You have to tell them. Now watch this. Raise your hand if you've talked to somebody who has no interest in going to a chiropractor ever. Every hand goes up. Well, welcome to my world. And just so you know, the water's fine. And listen, if I was that person and the person that really needed it was my 6-year-old daughter, if she had asthma or some kind of situation that was bad like this, you would have to hate us not to keep telling us. This is not a sales pitch for you trying to make money for your chiropractor. This is you caring enough to get involved in the lives of somebody else. So I want you to keep doing that. Yes? Good. Facebook. We are on a new campaign for Facebook. There's a lot of new stuff coming out. Make sure you get and look at us. Like us, yeah, it helps us, but go on there because a lot of stuff that I'm doing now is so multifaceted through social media. I'll put recipes up there. The nerd in me wants to post a lot of research up there, so if you want to nerd out with me, make sure you're on there too. Also, great picture of everybody up there, so make sure you look at this. Father, we love you and praise you and thank you for today. We just give you honor and praise that you are healing people and that you are changing lives. And you're coming to the rescue in so many different ways, and your timing is perfect. I just thank you for all the heroes here. I thank you, Father, for the healing that's going to take place, for the actions taken today. I ask, God, that you make all of us a beacon of light and hope as people see us, and that your hand is moving in us and in our lives, and it draws them towards you. So, God, I just ask a blessing on every single person, their health, their hope, their vision in themselves, and they're looking towards you, Father, for it all. So we love you and praise you. I ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, question, metabolics test. Question? Yeah. Yep. Yep. What does she weigh? 100 pounds? Yeah, she can take normal dose. Yep, give it to her too. Yeah, and my 6-year-old takes a regular dose of detox system. She takes 2 and 2, just like adults. My 6-year-old. Yeah, it's good to go. Yeah, you're good. Good question. Other questions, guys?
I want to know about the test. You have 2 listed here.
Here's the test right here.
But you have 2 different tests.
Yeah, it's fatty acid test and the organics.
You need to take both tests.
It's both tests. You want to take both tests. Yeah, it's both tests. They're listed separately because they test some different things, but to get a complete metabolics profile, you'll need to do both.
Is that, do you split the 2?
It's basically one's a urine and one is a finger prick.
Okay.
It's just and then it's easy stuff, and you send it off. It's not complicated. If I can do it, anybody can do it.